Live from Los Angeles. Welcome to Good Morning La La Land. I'm Dr. Erin.
Good morning, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jasmine Moyer. This is Good Morning La La Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now also available on Apple TV and Roku. Good Morning La La Land.
Right, it's all about Transformation Tuesday today. We're going to talk about how to transform work into play. We're going to talk with one woman, one mom about raising strong girls, hashtag girl power. And we are going to talk with one inspirational man who has brought transformational music across the globe for many, many years. So excited.
It's like a fun Tuesday.
Absolutely. We'd love to welcome to the show a legendary record producer, singer-songwriter. Dante is in the house. You listen to Sugar Sugar at the top of the show. Thank you. It is so exciting to have you here. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Oh, well, we are just so excited to speak to you both. Good morning, Wendy, Snyder. We are so happy to talk to you. Girl power is in the house, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good morning. So happy
Sugar,
to be here.
sugar. It's the theme of my life.
Is it? In more ways than one, huh?
Well, here on Good Morning La La Land, we'd like to know, how do you start your day? What's your morning routine like, Wendy?
Oh, well, it always starts with coffee. I usually wake up and just look forward to my first cup of coffee. My husband's a sweetheart, usually gets down there and makes it. And then my kids. I have a seven-year-old and a 10-year-old. So it's kids and coffee.
Hashtag girl power, coffee power.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
Ron, what's your morning routine like? How do you start your day?
Well, I start my day with some singing because I'm a singer basically also, and I try to keep a regiment where I get up and I vocalize a little bit. And my next door neighbor's not crazy about it, but we do.
Are you kidding? I bet they love it.
Well, thank you, thank you. They are good songs. And then, of course, I go for a run and then I walk my dog.
Oh, such a legend, such a legend.
Yes,
honestly.
well, we are so excited that you are both here. We're happy to talk to you later in the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So Transformation Tuesday. What's going on, you guys? How are you going to transform your life today?
Well, I'm transforming with my fire department coffee again today.
So good.
Yes, so good. Special shout out. Thank you so much for sponsoring our coffee this week. They are a group of veterans turned firefighters. They are giving back. Warriors for Wheels. Part of the proceeds go, and if you use the promo code CoffeeBoss10, you get a special discount.
All about the discounts.
All about the discount. I love a promo code as much as I love good coffee.
Big shout out to the firefighters who have done so much work here in California over the last major year for you guys,
Yeah,
right?
boy, they've had a busy year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I spent last night transforming my technology. I swear, I think it's like spirituality and technology is the theme of my life. It's hilarious, but I spent all night automating all these client release forms. Like I normally, have them just sign and scan out and and it's like, we're just moving past that whole thing. I mean, I remember fax machines, like that is so history these days, right?
Do you use TinyFax, the app TinyFax? Or Tiny Scanner? They've got these apps now.
Don't need it anymore.
No, but how do you get them to sign things? They're electronically signed.
There's so many ways you can do it now online without having to.
That's what I mean, it's an app, right?
Spirituality meets technology. Apparently Erin's figuring it out.
So I'm like in bed all night, like learning back end of websites and all that. I mean, it's like, I can't believe how much time, I'm wondering how many hours, how many months I've spent over the last 5 years on technology. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I outsource it.
Yeah, I love how much you love that, Erin. It does not speak to my soul at all.
Jess. Me neither. I've been there, done that.
done.
We do. I'm going to hire that out,
I'm a
Jess.
control freak if you haven't figured that out. So I need to know what's going on with all of it, right?
I don't need to know. I just want to trust and believe that it works.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Jez. There's so much I've realized I don't want to know, I don't care to know, and I have no intention of ever figuring it out. Technology is kind of one of them.
Although I will say the technology here at the Beverly Hills Rejuvenation Center,
oh, wow.
You want to know about this, right?
Cool.
So it's the art of beauty, the science of youth, and this is a new med spa. They've got a couple locations in Southern California, and they're expanding to Las Vegas and Arizona. Incredible. I went for an amazing facial last week, truly transformed.
I feel like you just get younger and younger all the time, Jess, and I'm beginning to understand why.
It was thanks to my hydrofacial at the Beverly Hills Rejuvenation Center, and I'm really excited because they really want to work with us and offering us new treatments and technologies, because really there is so much science going into really making us feel beautiful from the inside out. You know, we talk a lot about that on
Stem
Transformation
cells.
Tuesday.
I'm obsessed with research and stem cells. My dad knows so much about it. I'm like amazed. So I'm like asking him all about it. You can now get, you know, you can have, of course, they've like approved it for the joints, but I'm like, what about the face and da-da-da? So it's like, it's all in the works. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all transforms.
Well, and you know, they work a lot with hormone treatments and not just the facials, but some cool sculpting.
Wow. Like a whole body makeover there, huh?
Oh, you know you're into it, Rob.
You know I'm into that, yeah. I'm into the results. I don't need to know everything about the details, as long as it's not really anything that's like too detrimental as a side effect. I'm good. But yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. So we're excited to be sharing more about our personal transformation journeys with you and the Beverly Hills Rejuvenation
We're
Center.
all about being guinea pigs for that, you know, just saying.
I accept the challenge.
It's just a body, you know, it's just a body. No, it's so exciting, you guys. Such exciting time. I think we live in the best time in history, honestly. I really honestly do. We have just so much innovation, technology, so many ways of connecting around the globe. I think it's the most exciting time in history.
You're absolutely right, which is so interesting to me because, you know, we've talked a little bit about this like progress paradox. Like as things have gotten better technologically, in terms of the health field, medical field, you know, people have felt less and less connected though, like emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. So I find that so interesting because the opportunity now to connect is greater than ever. And yet people still feel, you know, a little bit lonely, a little bit dissatisfied,
right?
Or more than a little bit.
You know who's mastered this?
Who's mastered this,
Ms.
Jess?
Kelly Gores. She's gracing the new cover of the Focus magazine, and Erin has the soundtrack to her new documentary, Heal.
Yeah, so we want to give a big shout out to Michael Malora, who did the soundtrack composer for Heal, and they just re-released another soundtrack because the first song actually has Michael Bernard Beckwith on it doing some prayer work over it, basically. So the first song is Breathe Into That. So excited for you guys. So privileged and honored to have you guys in our lives and here at Focus TV Network. Big shout out. So check it out.
Soundtrack is fantastic. The documentary is fantastic.
Right.
You really gotta, yeah.
Article is fantastic. It's also available online. If you're not in LaLa Land to get your hard copy, you can go to focusmag.us.
Right, so
Check out
let's
the
take a
digital
little
version.
break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about 5 tips to transforming your work into play, and we're all about play and community around here, so stay tuned. We will be right back.
Good morning, LaLa. I'm with my associate producer, Ms. Victoria Simone.
Hey girl, what are we wearing right now?
Special thanks to J Squad for making us feel like true goddesses today. He's sponsoring the look for all of This Week in LaLa Land.
Yes. Speaking of This Week in LaLa Land, what happened?
We started off interviewing Jane Hansen. She's an Emmy Award-winning OG host of hosts.
What's crazy?
Living legend, right? We also had 2 Emmy Award winners of The Bay, Eric and Santi Nielsen, #relationship goals. And my favorite girl who makes grown men cry was here, Kirsten Collins, releasing her new single, Rainbows.
What a baby.
We are so excited to welcome Dr. Sandra Lee, aka Dr. Pimple Popper, to the studio. She's got over 2 billion views on YouTube, a true skincare sensation. We also welcome to the studio the creative team of Sixth Floor Toys, the directors, the producers from the house. We went to the premiere in Beverly Hills that night.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into This Week in LaLa Land. Jez?
It's gonna be a good morning, La La Land.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into This Week in Focus. Victoria Simone here, associate producer here at Focus TV Network, America's first live streaming daily talk show network with my girl.
Jez Molina, co-host of Good Morning La La Land. So Victoria, tell me what happened this week in Focus.
So last week on the Focus TV Network, we had What's Good
with Aida Rodriguez, super funny, talented comedian.
We had Reshape with Allie Landry.
With legendary Roma Downey and Kyle Richards.
We had Moms Matter hosted by Shirin Yadigar. On that show was
Sophia Dixon,
founder of Q Wonder. We had Success Beyond Beauty founder Terry Briggs with our girl Erica Dela Cruz. Jez, who are we wearing right now?
We are wearing J Squad. Special thanks for making us feel like a true goddess here on Good Morning La La Land.
Speaking of Good Morning La La Land, who was on last week?
We had legendary host Jane Hansen, the creative team of Sick for Toys, amazing musician, and Kirsten Collins was here, singer-songwriter, and she's making grown men cry. And of course, we had Eric and Santi Nielsen from The Bay.
Couple goals. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Focus. Jez, thanks for helping me out.
Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. We are live in Los Angeles. We have two very special guests in the house with us this morning. We want to welcome to the show Ms. Wendy Snyder. She is a positive parenting coach. And Dante, a legendary record producer, singer, songwriter. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
So
morning.
in honor of Transformation Tuesday, we're wondering, what do you do to transform your work into play? Wendy, let's start with you.
Ooh, what do I do to transform my work into play? Well, I think, sometimes I just try to remember to laugh a little bit and not take life so seriously. And my kids are such great examples of cherishing play, right? I mean, kids are such a great reminder just to lighten up sometimes and laugh. So I try to do that with my work. And if something doesn't go perfectly as planned, or if I make a mistake, I have to just remember to laugh sometimes and remember that it's okay. It's not to be so serious all the time.
Amen to that one.
That's so true. I feel like you are walking sunshine. Just look at her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so happy.
She's really-
I need that. Please be
Oh,
contagious.
thank you.
Yes.
What a compliment.
Ron, what about you? What do you do to transform your work into play?
Say that again, sorry.
What do you do to transform your work so it's not always just work, it's a little bit of play?
I just get into the music that I make and I'm involved with. It brings me to another level. And it's like you reach up and you can grab a song, or you can grab something that makes you happy. I'm very interested in being happy each day. I make a choice to be happy each day. In fact, I've just completed writing a song called Happinessville, which is all about a place that you can visit. You can drive to it, you can go to it. And that's kind of my philosophy. And I've always said yes to most things. Most good things that have come my way have been because I've been open to them.
Oh, Ron, we love you more and more. Every word that comes out of your mouth, we love you more and more.
I'll say yes to Happinessville any day.
Every day. Basically,
we're gonna
nailed it.
this is La La Land. La La Land is basically how we're creating Happinessville for sure.
That's the point,
right?
isn't it?
That's the
If you're
point.
not happy, what's the point?
Oh, what's the point? Well, thank you both again so much for being here. We're excited to talk to you more later in the show. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this transformation of work play. So I found a great article on Forbes, and basically they have 5 kind of tips to creating work into play. And I think it's important to preempt this with knowing that if there's something going on, like lack of communication, or upsets, or things that need to be dealt with in a work environment, you got to deal with those first before you can't just go, oh, let's just pretend and let's play and then it's all going to work out. No, you got to communicate. You got to deal with those other issues. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how to transform work into play. So let's talk about this a little bit. So they say create games and contests for your company's values, and I think that's an interesting one. Because I was actually having a conversation with a gentleman who was actually a lawyer, and he was actually like an employee lawyer that helps people deal with employee litigations against companies. And he said one of the things that's interesting about this Me Too movement and equality is that people think that games, like if someone wins at a game, like giving, like say if someone wins like a trip at their office, some people think that's unfair, but he goes, but that's actually the whole point of having like contests that promote productivity. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's tough. I mean, particularly within any kind of work environment, you want to promote sort of cooperation, but you also want to bring out the best in people. And so often one way that people do that is through games and contests. But what happens is that people get very competitive.
Right.
And then you get backstabbing, you get people that are like willing to be as knowledge sharing as they would otherwise. So it's a little challenging. I have my own beliefs and thoughts about team building exercises and things of that nature. But yeah, it's
Forget your Forbes. We want to know.
there are pros and cons to all of that.
So what do you think is good team building?
I mean, I think that at the end of the day, one of the greatest sort of losses in efficiency in any work environment are people competing with each other.
Yeah, I agree.
End of the day, or comparing each other. I mean, it's just an exhausting and very time-consuming, energy-consuming approach to work.
I agree. I think a lot of the 5 languages of love is probably a good one also, to know how people feel like they're positively reinforced and know their language and affirmed through that way for sure.
How about just the rewards without the competition? I mean, a healthy dose of competition every now and again I think is good, but freebie, a contest that doesn't involve competition, but just give away, right? Encourage
We have
community.
lots of those around here for sure.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that can help to take the edge off as well is acknowledging people even when they lose. So there are ways, not in a blanket kind of way, like you're just great, but like you put in a lot of great effort. But acknowledging people is surprisingly much more effective than even monetary rewards after a certain level of income.
Right. But play, we're talking about play. Like, how do we play more? You know, maybe it's like putting on good music and having it be like, okay, for the next hour we're going to do X, Y, Z. So number 2, though, back to Forbes, is share community service experiences. So, you know, I think that we do that a lot. I think that sharing, you know, getting involved with nonprofits, philanthropy, things like that, it does, I think it builds our team for sure.
Yeah, and it deepens gratitude, right? So the great thing about community service projects is often you're dedicating your time and energy to some folks that may not have the same kind of privileges that you have. And so in that effort, it should deepen your gratitude and deepen sort of a lot of the other core values, because often I think we take the best things in life for granted.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. Number 3 is embrace celebration and appreciation. I do that really well.
You do that well. You do.
I take credit for that.
I will give you credit for that all day.
I think it's important. We are going to be doing a monthly event for all the people that come on the show and whatever. I think that that's a real team building, like fun play thing. It's important to have play outside of the traditional work, but also keep it intentional for work, for sure.
Absolutely. You can socialize and celebrate with purpose, right? But it doesn't even have to be going out for drinks. If you just send a congratulatory email or cards, balloons, just any small gesture to show your appreciation for somebody goes so far.
Totally.
Right?
Right? Number 4 is incorporate mindfulness practices, and of course we do that a lot around here. But I think for a lot of companies, you know, transitioning from a non-mindful environment to mindful, how do you make that fun without making people wrong? Like, you're not being mindful right now. How do you play around with that? So how do you suggest that with clients?
It's such a great idea, great point, Erin. Like, so the challenge with play is that, you know, largely there is some structure, but the structure isn't so tense that it disrupts the play. Like, you have to allow people to be creative and be playful without putting so much structure into the environment that they're like, okay, now this feels like a work activity again. We're supposed to be playing, but now it's like a to-do item on my list.
Yeah, right.
So you kind of have to keep it footloose and fancy-free. And to be honest with you, I don't love a whole lot of the team-building exercises or activities that are aimed at increasing play. I'd rather just go out and play. Like, let's all go to the playground. Let's go to like do something fun that we wouldn't do otherwise without putting a whole lot of rules in there.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. We were just having that conversation with a guest last week, Seb Depot, and he was saying adults forget to have fun, and especially in the workplace. I am guilty of that too. I mean, as much as I like to celebrate after hours, during work I am so focused and I almost get irritated, I'll be honest. I'm like, you're playing too much. I have things to do. Get it done.
You are an efficiency master. I can understand that. And you make such a great point. I think that's why there are some, the way I approach it is like, what are the easy, effortless way to introduce like play into your life? Music, kids, puppies, those things instantly make you feel more playful without like a whole lot of effort.
And the last one for sure is celebrate birthdays and work anniversaries, and I think we do that very, very well here at Focus TV Network. So
Speaking of
we're
which,
masters of that. We've got a birthday coming
up.
It might be June 1st, I'm just saying. It might be.
Maybe. So make sure that you DM Jez like crazy.
But we want to know, so we want to find out what you do at your work for fun. How do you guys bring play into it? We want to know. We want to showcase that thing for other people because we need more play. We need more fun. We need to lighten up and just have fun because, you know, we're so blessed, you guys.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
So send us a comment on Facebook, slide into our DMs on Instagram, leave a comment on YouTube. We really want to continue the conversation about this community, making sure that we're all having fun.
Right? So we are going to take a break, come back, talk with some amazing, extraordinary people about transforming their lives through music, through being a mother, through all the above. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Focus TV studios in West Hollywood. I'm Jez Moyer, host of LA Unscripted and co-host of Good Morning LaLa Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show. And today I have the privilege to announce the latest issue of Focus magazine, and we're calling it the Empowerment Issue. These pages are filled with some of the most amazing personalities that are truly empowering others. On the cover is Ms. Kelly Gores, a filmmaker who's dedicated her work to empowering others to take charge of their own health and wellness and heal. We're also proud to feature Mr. Mark Teschner, a 9-time Emmy Award-winning casting director for General Hospital. I had the honor of interviewing Mr. Teschner at Prospect Studios, where he is empowering some of the most talented personalities in daytime television. It is an honor to feature Ms. Ellen Rakuten, a 13-time Emmy Award-winning producer known for her work empowering others through The Oprah Show, and now in Red Table Talks. She is a true entertainment mogul, a loving mother, and an absolute empowerista. And speaking of empowerista, the creator of the Empowerista show herself, Ms. Alex Worley. And where can you find an LA dining experience that feels like home? Right in Encino on Ventura Boulevard. I had the honor of interviewing Chef Nigel at Davenport's, where it's good food, good friends, and great family. And Focus magazine readers now have a new morning routine. Bel Air has welcomed Mr. Warren Kalute, aka Chef Warren of Holy Juice, an incredible juice bar right at the Bel Air Glen Center. Also in this issue, Mr. Kim Vo, known as the best blonder in the business. No matter what celebrity he's working with, he always goes back to his roots. A special shout out to Ms. Lillian Garcia, who I had the honor to interview for the previous cover of Focus magazine. Part of her empowering tribe is From Music to Mindset with Arden Kaelin and Greg Sims with a practical goal-setting technique. And Elizabeth Winkler contributed a very empowering piece from Laura Wasser, who is changing the face with divorce because it's over easy. Also featured fellow TV host Ms. Lisa Torres, who's empowering us to live a very high vibe life. And not all heroes wear capes, and we're proud to feature Focus TV family member Ms. Sally Colon, the filmmaker behind Women Like Us documentary. And our travel editor, Ms. Wendy Brokaw, contributed a great piece about a chic hotel in the desert. Empowering us all to crack the code on social media, our friend, Ms. Emily Raber. And it was an honor to celebrate the 45th annual Daytime Television Awards. It was conscious conversation and red carpets, an epic week of glamour and giving back. I had the honor of interviewing some of the most prominent people and personalities in daytime television. A special thanks to Mr. Kent Speakman and Connect TV for partnering with Good Morning LaLa Land to empower us and entertain us. It's all empowerment in this issue of Focus magazine. We are the only magazine in the country that offers a full video library to complement our print features. Your favorite interviews are also available as a podcast on iTunes. I'm Jez Lamoye, and for all of the entertainment, enlightenment, and empowerment we share today, don't miss the latest issue of Focus magazine. Classic. Wall Street guy. Yeah. Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land. It's an absolute honor to be with Ron Dante. Sugar, Sugar, what a timeless classic.
I am so lucky to be the singer of that song. I did it when I was like 19, and it continues to be played every day somewhere in the world. Children know it at 60 years old, and the 60-year-olds know it. So I was very fortunate to be in the studio with that great writer, Jeff Barry,
Did you
who
have
wrote this song.
any idea when you recorded that album?
You know, I was with a really good crew of people. I was with a man named Don Kirshner, who had discovered the Monkees and had a show in the 80s called a rock concert. He was a massive music man, and he brought in this fella, Jeff Barry, who has written Be My Baby, Hanky Panky, The Do Run Run, all these hits. Wow. And when he came up with Sugar Sugar, I know they had something. But I was not aware it was going to be as big. It was going to be a $6 million. It was the #1 record of the year. It beat out the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Fifth Dimension.
And incredible. So I think you just know when you hear a hook, you're like, oh, it's just so hooky a song. So did you know when you were, I mean, you were a producer of Barry Manilow's Cher, Pat Benatar, were you working with them when they had already made it, or were these people that you developed? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I discovered Barry Manilow. He was playing behind Bette Midler at the time. He was her piano player and arranger, and we sang a commercial together. Something for Pepsi or Coca-Cola. I was a jingle singer at the time, so was Barry. And he said, I'd like to be a soloist, I'd like to record. He said, I just don't want to be the piano player behind Bette Midler. And I said, well, let me hear some of your songs. So he played me this song called Could It Be Magic, which is based on a Chopin prelude, and it was magnificent. I said, well, I'll produce you. And about a year later, we had this #1 record called Mandy. And it kicked off his career, and for 10 years, we were on the charts with Can't Smile Without You, Copacabana, I Write the Songs, which he didn't write. But he tried. He wrote some Big Magic and Daybreak, and of course Copacabana he wrote, which won the Grammy for him that year. So it was great. When I worked with Pat Benatar, she was just starting out also. It was before Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and we recorded 3 or 4 records together.
Love is a battlefield. That's all I got to say. You know?
She was an affirmative woman right then. She was saying, "You love me, I'll kick your teeth out."
Right? she was like girl power, rise now, all that stuff. She's way ahead of the time.
Way ahead. She said to me, "I'm going to have hit records. I'm going to get married, have babies, and go on the road."
Really?
And that's exactly what she did. She was a magnificent person.
Did you manifest this destiny for yourself? Like she
what?
did? Manifest this destiny for yourself? I mean, Pat Benatar, she had a clear vision. What was yours?
Mine was, well, I grew up in a little borough called Staten Island, which is near Manhattan, right? And I take the ferry across every day, and I go across with my guitar, and every day somebody would say, maybe, no. And I'd be on the ferry, and I'd say, I'm going to come back tomorrow, I'm going to try again. And I kept doing it until somebody listened to my songs and listened to me. And I knew I would be in the music business. That was really something I do. When I was 14 years old, I played a New Year's Eve party and made $75. Wow. And my dad was making $50 a week. Wow. And I said, this is the business I should be in. This is going to work. And it worked. And it worked. I never looked back. It was always something I wanted to do.
Wow. Did you get that confidence, that like sort of don't quit attitude from your dad, or where did you get it from?
My father and both my mom and dad said, do this. You know, my dad had a shop. He made coats for children. And he said, don't come into the shop. Don't get involved in my business. He said, you can play guitar, you can sing, go do it.
Wow.
And it was like they gave me a great push forward. Without them, it would not have happened.
So much so that you've won Tony Awards. Tell us about that experience.
Well, I was very fortunate. I worked in the Broadway area, in the recording studios, and I met a fellow named James Lipton, who became my friend, and he has a thing called the Actor Studio Interview Show.
Of course.
He was a friend of mine at a party when I was producing Barry Manilow and Irene Cara and working with Cher. He said to me, I have this play. Would you like to read it? We're looking for a partner. And he gave me a show called Ain't Misbehavin', which won the Tony. We produced it together with the Schuberts, Jim and I, and it won the Tony for Best Musical of the Year. Nell Carter got her career start there, and it was what an experience to go from producing records to producing on Broadway. But it was what a thrill. Gene Kelly gave me my award. Tony
I mean, these
night.
are you're
unbelievable.
An icon. These are icons. You're in the. I mean, such an impactful thing has transformed all of our lives. It's touched all of our lives. Your art, your work, your production, your singing, all of it. What do you think of today? Like, everything's transforming in the music world, in the art world. What do you think about everything going on?
Well, I love it today. It's called evolution. It's evolving. It never stays stagnant. It continues to move ahead. And if you don't move ahead with it, you get left behind. So I always pay attention to the new artists, the new sounds. I'm producing 2 new artists, a family group that's like a throwback to the Partridge Family, but they're edgy. They're called the Fulcos. And I'm working with a West Point singer from a cadet who's the lead singer of the West Point band, named Jeremy Gaynor, who was on The Voice, actually, almost won it. So I'm keeping producing and I keep listening. I like what's happening today. I like it. It's an enjoyable time. It's very exciting to get up in the morning and see what's new and what new you can get involved in. That's my philosophy.
In addition to your persistence, your confidence, your talent. Would you say there's anything specific that's like the secret to your success? What's been the secret? Like if you were to talk, you know, what,
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish I had
Yeah.
my secret has always been say yes. When people say, can you do something, and you know it could be good for you, say yes. When he said to me, can you act and dance in a Broadway show? I said yes. Then I went home and I learned how to act.
That's right.
I got a coach. Yeah, I worked on a show called Children of a Lesser God, one of my shows. And half the cast was non-hearing. So I said, oh, I can communicate. But I went home and I got a teacher. And he taught me all the sign language to be able to communicate with our cast. You just have to keep saying yes to the universe. And the quote is, when you say yes, the universe conspires to help you. So
Wow.
I just keep doing that, and I feel very blessed that I had these opportunities. Sometimes you're not in the right place at the right time.
Such a great, you are like a light that shines in here. You just came in, you have this all positivity. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Thank
It
you.
is amazing.
Well, I love your show. I love what you're putting out is so much positive stuff that it's got to get into the universe. These times are really rough. These times, we need this. We need what you do. What I make music, and it's going to be positive music.
Amen to that. Love that.
Yeah.
It's a language.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are trying to enter into the music industry now? What would be your sage words of advice?
I would say there are a lot of good singers around, a lot of good bands. I would say the most important key is writing. Write something for yourself. Write something you feel passionate about. Get with a keyboardist or a guitarist or a programmer and write some songs, because the song is the key. That makes it. Without the song, there would not be a Britney Spears, a Taylor Swift, a Bruno Mars. Without the right song, there's always one breakthrough song. And I'm a firm believer that the music will get you to where you want to go.
Sugar, sugar.
Honey, honey.
So I have a question for you, because I mean, I grew up, my mom was actually like best friends with Joe Cocker growing up, and I've had quite a few musicians in my life and a lot of dysfunction in that area. So I'm curious to know, you know, you've been in the industry, and I don't know, I can't say exactly the percentage, but kind of my thought is like, it seems to be a fair amount of people are addicts within the industry, and then there's another group that's so flourishing, and if you can make it past that addiction or whatever, there's this artist industry that is incredible. Everyone's lifting each other up. What do you think it is about the industry that turns so many people to addicts?
I think it's the incredible pressure, because once you have some success, the corporations get on you and they start to pressure you to more success in a time span. You have to do it in 3 months. You've got to get it out for the summer or the Christmas rush. And the pressure of that is very difficult for creative people who come from a different place. They don't come from a 9-to-5 mentality. They come from, their art is their life. And they create it with their music or their acting or whatever it is. But especially music, it's tough. You got to drag it down from somewhere and create it. And then when you succeed, you try to figure out, how did I do it? How do I repeat that? And can I continue to repeat myself? Because creative people want to create new stuff. So I think it's a tough pressure cooker. And it's even more so today, because you don't have a little hit today. If you have one hit, a movie, a TV show, a music, a record, boy, you're pressured to do it again and be there and make it happen for the big corporations.
Right.
So it's a difficult time. And it's tough. We're sensitive people. We're all sensitive people. We're human.
And the industry's changed a lot. We spoke about this earlier, how like when Sugar Sugar came out, like sold what, 6 million?
6 million that year.
Yeah, and you know, there's some good money in it back in that day. However, today it's very different with iTunes and stuff. You've got to tour.
Yes.
So speak on that a little bit.
Well, the important thing today is not so much selling a CD, which is going out of style, or getting streaming money, or any of those things. It's important to tour. It's important to merchandise yourself. If you're an artist, it's important to own your brand and know that you can make up T-shirts and sweatshirts and posters and all kinds of great tchotchkes and get the people involved, because that's a source of income for the creative artists.
Not only are you an artist, then you're becoming an entrepreneur.
Oh yes, yes. You must be your own business manager. Don't look outside yourself for a business manager. You're a business once you start to make money on your art, and you've got to get a good lawyer and make sure that they're in your corner and they protect you. That's very important.
Speaking of doing your own thing, you mentioned a project earlier, a bit earlier about happiness.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm a firm believer that the universe needs some more happy in the world. There's such turmoil, there's such problems every day. You turn on the news, I can't even watch the news at night before I go to sleep. It's so stressful. So I decided that I'm going to write a song with a friend of mine called Happinessville. It's all about a car trip and how these people run into a place called Happinessville and they want to stay. And I just felt it was time for something like that, something really positive, something people could sing along with, and it's got a great hook. And I'll send you over a copy of it.
Oh, we would love that.
I'll send you over a copy of it. I think you'll like it.
that.
I think you'll like it.
I feel like you found that place. I feel like you take it with you everywhere you go.
I am very fortunate. I've met the right people in my life. I knew where I was going and who I was going there with.
Speaking of the right people, we want to give a special shout out. Thank you so much, Mr. John Ferreter, for connecting us. And I know he's played a special role in your life as well.
Yeah, John and I met a few years ago, and we met at a restaurant, and my lawyer introduced me to him, and he said, "This is Ron Dante." And John said, "Ron Dante, I know Ron Dante. The first record I ever bought was one of his records as a kid." So I got him the original copy, and I signed it to him. And we've been friends ever since. And we're working on a few projects together. The Family Group is a co-production between John and myself.
The Fulcos. They've got a show this weekend.
Yes, the Fulcos are one of the best family groups you will ever see. They are the best singers. They're also beautiful to look at. They're a great looking group.
Yeah, follow them on Instagram. They do some great covers. These boots are made for walking. I saw a little bit of that.
Yes, we recut the old Nancy Sinatra with the 15-year-old from the group, and she just knocked it out of the park.
Oh my gosh. What an amazing life you have. So cool.
Thank you.
Love to watch all these groups come together. I'm sure there's so much art, so much talent coming out.
There's lots of talent out there. You just have to get the opportunities nowadays, and that's the rough part of it, to get somebody to look at you, get the eyeballs on you.
Good.
Any tips there, real quick?
The tips, as I
Just
said,
like looked at.
get some, perform a lot. If you're a singer, you want to perform. Get out there and perform as much as possible. Do videos. Get on all the platforms. Write some great songs, or steal them, or write them. What are you gonna do? But find those songs. Right?
Wow. Well,
So
thank you so much for all the incredible art and music you've contributed, for the memories you've given us. I mean, Sugar Sugar, that was a whole summer of my life.
Sugar still goes on. That's amazing. Sugar, bum, 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 honey, honey.
Great.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.
So cool.
Thank you for.
Hello, Los Angeles. I am your host and producer, Alex Worley, filming inside Focus TV's West Hollywood studio. Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to highlighting female trailblazers and empowering you to turn your barriers into breakthroughs.
Hey guys, I'm Amy Paprath.
And I'm Justin Walter.
And this is What's Good, the show that's dedicated to positive, uplifting stories from all over the globe.
Welcome to Good Morning La La Land. I'm Dr. Erin.
I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jessa Moye.
And we're making history as the first live streaming daily talk show.
This is where all kinds of shit happens.
Monday through Friday, we are going to be streaming to you live, Los Angeles, at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Alyssa Goodman Show. So Kelly, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Alyssa. This is so fun.
I know.
What's up, Rose girls? I'm Jessica Carroll. Today we're gonna have so much fun because we have fitness personality Katie Austin.
Hey,
we're
thanks for having me on.
with
Cheers.
Katie Austin.
I love it. It
Cheers.
feels like a Saturday.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Millennial Life. I'm your host, Laura Odegaard, and today we are joined by the very beautiful former Miss California and now a TV host, Natasha Martinez. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
You are tuning in to Slay with Rachel McCourt, and I have a fabulous guest
In studio with me is Liza Glukoff. She's just been named executive producer of programming at Awesomeness TV. I mean, no big deal, but huge. Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Are we so excited right now?
We are so excited.
I mean,
Thank
we
you for
have
having me.
roses, we have perfect lighting, we've got some Spa Girl vodka in case we get a little crazy.
Hey, Dr. Erin here, teaching universal law and spiritual truth, having a conscious conversation in the heart of Hollywood. And I'm honored to have the guest today, who is Christina Pascucci, who is amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's an honor to be here with you. I so appreciate it.
Today on Moms Matter, we're going to talk about money, 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 something that we all struggle with and we need help with, and that's why we have the fabulous Wendy Sun, who's here with us today.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you so much. I know you've been on MSNBC and Forbes, and you are the money expert.
Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. We are talking all things Transformation Tuesday, and we are talking about girls today. We're talking about being moms and transforming women into powerful, strong, young ladies into women. We're talking to Wendy Snyder. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
You are a positive parenting teacher, family coach. You help parents and families create purposeful, intentional, healthy, respectful, and cooperative relationships. I love that. And you're a certified parent educator, RCB. Tell us, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so RCB stands for Redirecting Children's Behavior, and it's one of the two programs that I teach. So the other one's called The Joy of Parenting, and it's positive parenting curriculum. And so when I created my company, FreshStartFamilyOnline.com, I wanted to support busy families who want to learn more about positive parenting curriculum and how it can just transform their life and their relationship with their kids. But they're busy. So, yeah.
The world needs your work.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, just right now, I see families sometimes, I'm like, oh, they're yelling at their kids right now. Like, do they know what their subconscious, how it gets programmed? I'm like, oh no.
I'm not a parent yet, but I'm wondering, when does this parenting lessons begin? I mean, is this pre-children? Is this when you have children? When do you even begin?
Great question.
Yeah, so I always say the FreshStartFamilyOnline.com vision is pre-baby, right? So to get this work out to like college 101 classes and even high school, right? But the mission right now is to support the families who really need support. But yeah, the dream is to get this in the work, you know, get this in the hands of every family before they end up what we call in crisis, which is when you have a wild toddler or a strong-willed little soul that you're just like, what the heck, you know? And most of us just work with what we invented, which, you know, sometimes works and sometimes you just want to do it the way you choose. And so nowadays we have all these options. It's just beautiful.
What was your journey into becoming a parenting coach?
Oh my goodness. So I found the work of positive parenting in a really dark spot of my parenting journey. So I had a little 3-year-old little girl who came out of the womb just a firecracker, really strong personality. And I didn't quite have the tools to know how to work with her. And so the first few years were rocky. And I realized that I needed some help. And so when I found this work and I found these courses, it just changed everything for me, and all of a sudden I was able to see the light and the integrity in her. And the cool thing was that she responded. When we worked with her in a more compassionate and grace-filled and empathetic manner, where we really tried to just seek to understand her instead of trying to judge her and control her, she just blossomed. And you could tell she was like, yes.
So walk us through. So say you're in the kitchen, you're parenting, your 3-year-old daughter is screaming and throws fork across the. How do you do? What do you do? What's the protocol?
So we really coach parents, and I always say that I'm right there in the work with my families that I coach. So I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, so we're all a work in progress. But we want to move from reactive parenting to responsive parenting, where you're just like from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, 2 seconds really. And normally we say there's not much a space there between the stimulus and the response. So we just want to get better, and it takes practice, but really taking a pause button, or we call it a heart connector, and just taking a moment to think about how you want to handle the fork being thrown, or what you want to teach your little girl in the long term. It's not always about it. But it's more like, what are we teaching our kids long term? And what are we modeling for them when we react or when we respond?
Well, and you've got some great tips on dealing with these everyday interactions with your daughters to reframe that in a way that's positive. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So number one, we really want to teach our young girls, all of our young kids, but the earlier the better with them all, is how to really understand emotional intelligence and understand what they're feeling and how to work through feelings with integrity. So when she's crying and she's having a tantrum or a fit or whatever, we want to just take a break from the like, stop it, you're fine, stop crying, and just start to teach her, become a teacher, and start to teach her, well, this is what you're feeling. It's usually, hurt, sad, scared when they're maybe crying, and just start to help them understand that it's okay to feel those things and how you can get through them with integrity. Because a lot of times in culture we label those as bad emotions, and then we become adults who aren't set up to handle those emotions. But really they're just a part of life.
I have infinite gratitude for you. You have no idea. Carl, I remember Carl Jung said somewhere essentially that his job as a psychologist was to reparent people at an age in which reparenting was impossible.
Yeah.
And you are helping out that mission so much that you're actually, giving people this solid foundation in emotional intelligence, in empathy, and being non-reactive and non-defensive. And by doing that, you're not. I think a lot of challenges that parents have is they don't realize that when you're acting from that very defensive or sort of worked up place, you're actually pouring gasoline on the fire, right?
Exactly.
And so you're teaching them behaviors that aren't adaptive.
Yeah, they're just, it's like a dance. We get into a dance with our kids. So they end up the greatest teachers if we allow them to, right? If we lean into the vulnerability side, which we always say is a strength. Vulnerability and learning and growing and humbling yourself and saying, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer here, is actually will allow you to grow alongside your kids.
So is that one of the best parts or places to start with just pausing? Like when you're in when the heat of the moment and the little, your little one's having a meltdown.
Yeah.
The first thing you should do is pause. Is that?
Absolutely. And we always say if you can add a hand on your heart and just remind yourself to parent from your heart instead of from your head, because our head will take us to places that aren't always the most healthiest behaviors, but our heart will guide us, right? It's what signifies life, right? It's the first thing we have that signifies life is when you see a heartbeat, and it's the last thing that signifies life too. So it's just right that we would use it to guide us in our parenting as we're raising little souls. So that's a huge part. I know all of the families that I work with, and they always want to know, what do we do? And so it's just a journey. You have to you have to get into the curriculum. You have to find some coursework. I have 2 different programs on the website that help families really understand all the different strategies that they can use after they start to take that pause button. But it really starts a little bit with the theory and understanding misbehavior as communication instead of just our kids are being naughty, they're out to get us. But the psychology that the work is based on really helps us to understand it as communication. And then we become detectives instead of like police officers for our kids.
I love that. I mean, I think this is the most
Profound.
brilliant thing, so needed. It's amazing. I remember I was a very young mother. I was 22 when I had my son, and you know, I don't have the consciousness now that I had then by any means, but I do remember reading one thing that really helped me in my parenting, and it was something to the extent of pick your battles. So I remember like watching parents, and they would say, you know, they'd be in a store and the kid would be grabbing for candy bars, and the kid would be like, I want this, and the mom would go, no, you can't have that, no, you can't have that. And by the third time you said, I want it, she'd go, okay, just have it. And that's not gonna work very well. So I remember thinking, pick your battles, and that was the one kind of thing that worked for me. I remember that. What do you say about that? How do parents say no when there's so much consumption, online, gaming? How do you say no in a positive, conscious way?
I love that you asked that, because a lot of people will hear the word positive parenting and they'll think it's permissive work, right? But so much of what I work to support parents and families with is how to stay firm in their no's. So we always say this work guides families to be firm and kind. And so it's important that we set boundaries and stick to rules, and that we say no to like the crazy, you know, artificially dye candy at the end of the aisle. So we have a little formula that we teach parents. It's, you know, proactive agreements is huge. So you always want to teach your kids in a calm time, not in the heightened when you're at the end of the aisle. And then right when they start to push back or ask, you just go right to empathy. That's number 2. And then you ask them to restate the agreement, what you've taught them about why we don't want to put that in our body. And then the last step, number 4, is our little formula, is you give them choices. And so make it fun, make it playful.
I'm still trying to parent myself. It's not working out so well.
I'll be honest, isn't that I would imagine that's the core of it, is that you have to be able to, you know, what I love about your approach is that, of course, you know, it's really geared for kids, but it actually applies, all the principles apply to just any kind of relationship that you have with any other human being on the planet, right?
So
including the one you have with yourself.
Definitely yourself.
Yes, there's so much self-love that comes into it. As parents, it's like we can get really hard on ourselves because culture just doesn't support us. You know, we just aren't usually, again, we go into it with what we've inherited, and then a lot of times we just don't feel confident, so you can really be hard on yourself at the end of the day. So I love supporting families with that too. It's like, this is grace-filled work. We're grace-filled with our kids, we're grace-filled for ourselves. And then through the learning and the growing, you learn to just love yourself a little bit more and say, I'm human.
Oh my God,
it's okay.
you heal the world.
I know, right? Seriously. Wow. Sugar, that's all I got to say.
Yay.
So where can people find your work and work with you?
Yeah, so my website is freshstartfamilyonline.com, and it's a really good time. They can come in and get on a free 5-day challenge that I have that starts June 1st. It's right on the homepage. The registration page is right there, and that'll give parents 5 days of mini positive parenting lessons where they can get to know the work a little bit in really digestible, you know, little small lessons, and also be in community. You know, right now we have almost 500 people in the private Facebook group where people just get to come in and say, oh my gosh, me too, I'm struggling, I need help, I have a humble heart, but I'm struggling here and I want to learn. And then on Instagram, I'm at Wendy.
I love that. Oh, such beautiful divine work. So important. Thank you for everything, really and truly.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.
Welcome to Good Morning La La Land. We are so excited to announce
that Good Morning La La Land is now being featured on Connect TV.
That's right. You can check it out on Apple TV, Roku, iOS, and Android, as well as on the web.
Check us out. We're going to be everywhere, literally.
We are going to believe, connect, and change the world. It's going to be a Good Morning La La Land. La La Land.
Yes. Speaking of This Week in La La Land, what happened?
We started off interviewing Jane Hansen. She's an Emmy Award-winning OG host of hosts.
What's crazy?
Living legend, right? We also had 2 Emmy Award winners of The Bay, Eric and Santi Nielsen, #relationship goals. And my favorite girl who makes grown men cry was here, Kirsten Collins, releasing her new single, Rainbows.
What a baby.
We are so excited to welcome Dr. Sandra Lee, aka Dr. Pimple Popper, to the studio. She's got over 2 billion views on YouTube, a true skincare sensation. We also welcome to the studio the creative team of Sixth Floor Toys, the directors, the producers from my house. We went to the premiere in Beverly Hills that night.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into This Week in La La Land. Jez?
It's going to be a good morning, La La Land.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. I feel such deep gratitude today because we've been talking Transformation Tuesday, but also really about spreading happiness.
Yes.
And it's, of course, one of my favorite topics, right? What is it that makes each of you the happiest? Is there anything in particular?
Gosh, that's a good question. I'd say when I'm in the ocean, when I'm in nature. Me and my husband surf together, and when I'm with him, he's my best friend. We've been married for 17 years next week.
Congratulations.
And, happy anniversary! Thank you. But yeah, he brings me so much joy and just nature. Again, being in the ocean and just there's something about water that just every day is a fresh start, right? And every time you duck dive or so yeah, the ocean brings me a lot of joy.
Love that. What about you, Ron?
Well, it's people. It's the humans in my life. And with all the business and all the show business and everything else, it's really, that at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is having somebody that you care about and somebody cares for you. Because in the end, that's who you're going to be with. So everything else is good. Life is good. And we just keep it going.
Life feels very good for you, Ron. I think it's been very good for a very long time, my friend.
I think there is a common theme here, in my opinion, that when I obviously do spiritual work, we do psychology and entertainment and just the whole thing. It does come down to relationships. I really truly believe that all of life is a relationship. And I think that whether it be your music, your expression of your relationship with bringing your art to the world, or having your children are such great teachers of having you develop, and the show develops us, our art develops all of it. And the relationship is so important. Did you always have self-love? Was your relationship with yourself always good?
You want me to go first on that one? Great. I have been fortunate enough to find some pretty incredible life coaching work that I'm training to become an instructor of, and it continues to pour into me to guide me to love myself more, a little bit more and more every year. I feel like in my early 20s, I was like, woo! And then 30s was like, and then, as I enter the 40s, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm hard on myself for sure. So I think the self-love portion is really important that we all pour into, because the more love we have for ourselves, the more we can love others freely and build those relationships that are rock solid.
That's great.
Such a great point. One of the things that sometimes we talk about is the difference between self-esteem and self-love. And so many of us do feel self-esteem in our 20s and 30s because we feel like we look beautiful and we're doing well, and so it's very externally based. So I love that point that you sort of made there around sort of self-love being something that's more unconditional. Right. Yeah. What about you, Ron?
Well, mine was up and down, because in the music industry, you go up and down, and sometimes you think, well, this is who I am. And if it's not up, something's wrong with it. So I've had my ups and downs, but I found the right person in my life about 2 decades ago, and she helped me to understand that that's not the most important thing. That's not who I am. I am not the things I do, it's who I am, and who I am inside, and the way I treat people, and the way people treat me. So I've been very fortunate to go many years now with feeling good, and I kind of make that decision every day, that I'm going to be okay today, and I'm going to take the new challenge.
Great. The universe brought you some serious, the perfect person, right? Delivered right
It delivered. It took some time. It took a couple of trials. But you're like all of us, but finally, if you can find that right one, like a cat on a screen, hold on, never let go.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing your work and light with us today. We are Good Morning La La Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., not 5 a.m.
That's what time we get up.
Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. It's 5 a.m. somewhere, right? We're also available as a podcast on iTunes. You can check us out on Apple TV and Roku via Connect as well.
Right? Please like, share, and comment, you guys. We're waking up the world together, one day at a time. Have a beautiful day.
It's going to be a good morning, La La Land.
So great.